but he did evil in the eyes of the Lord. So let's just get into the word. Hello everyone, my name is Angel Sandoval. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If you're new to my channel, I make these videos weekly in hopes that they encourage you. I want to talk to you about King Manasseh. I can't get his name right. King Manasseh, King of Judah, Manasseh. This guy right here, he was 12 years old when he became king to reign in Jerusalem for 55 years. But he did evil in the eyes of the Lord. So let's just get into the word. 2 Chronicles 33:1 says, Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king and reigned in Jerusalem 55 years. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, following the detestable practices of the nation the Lord had driven out before the Israelites. He rebuilt high places his father Hezekiah had demolished. He had also erected altars in Baals and made, the god Baal, and made poles and bowed down to all these different idols, worshiping them. And then he built altars even in the temple of the Lord, which the Lord had said, my name will remain in Jerusalem forever. Verse 5 says, in both courts of the temple of the Lord, he built altars to all starry hosts, and even had witchcraft, consulted mediums and spiritualists, and he took craved images and made them and put them in God's temple, of which God had said to David and Solomon, in this temple of Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of the tribes of Israel, my name will be put forever. So basically this king, Manasseh, was the son of Hezekiah, the king prior, who loved the Lord. Hezekiah did everything by means that was right in God's eyes, but then his son took reign when he was 12 years old after Hezekiah died and went back forward that these false gods, the god of Baal, and started worshiping all these things. And the way basically the story goes is this king really messed up. Like, he was consulting mediums, he was consulting witchcraft, he was even put all these detestable things in the temple of God. You would think that God would just like write this dude off, and in a sense he kind of did. If you look at verse 10, the Lord spoke to Manasseh and his people, but they paid no attention. Does that sound familiar? They paid no attention to the Lord, and he was trying to be a part of them. So the Lord brought, in verse 11, against them an army of commanders and bound them in bronze shackles, took him to Babylon. And in his distress, verse 12 is the real key here. In his distress, he sought the favor of the Lord, his God, and humbled himself greatly before the God of their fathers, or of his fathers. And when he prayed to God, the Lord was moved by his prayer and listened to his plea. And so he brought him back to Jerusalem and to his kingdom. Then Manasseh knew the Lord God. So here's this king that's doing all this witchcraft and all this crazy stuff. And God was trying to get a hold of him, but he ignored God. So God sent an army to shackle him. There's three things I got from this. When we walk away from the Lord, sometimes the Lord will send something to shackle you down to get your attention. Once he has your attention and you plead and cry to him, he'll listen and free you from the thing that has shackled you. So what's shackling you today? What is binding you right now that God has to send the shackle? He wants your full attention. And when you pray to him, he'll listen to you. And the way the story ends is this king afterward, if you look at 14, he rebuilt the wall of the city of David. In verse 15, he got rid of all the foreign gods and removed the negative and evil out of his life. And then if you go into 16, then he restored the altar of the Lord and sacrificed fellowship offerings and thanksgiving for all the Lord had did. 17 says, and the people, however, continued to sacrifice at the high places, but only to the Lord their God. So even the people were changed. In all the other events in verse 18, Manasseh's reign, including his prayer to his God and the words of the seer spoke to him in the name of the Lord and the God of Israel, was written in the annals of the kings of Israel. The point is, when you are in a situation where God has to get your attention, please listen. Turn it around and he'll hear your prayer. And I don't wish this on anyone, but there are some of us that go astray, some of us that have lost our way. And for those of you that have, God has not forgotten you. He wants to restore you. So trust in him and let him do his work. God bless you always, and have a super blessed day. Always praying for you.
Please don't forget to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button below and clicking the bell icon for future messages.